I did get a couple of questions that I wanted to talk about from last week's videos, and you will recall last week we did a behind-the-scenes tour of this little studio I've got here, and if you missed it, I'll put it in the master playlist link down below in the video description. And I did get a question from Mark here with a couple of follow-ups in regards to the process that we're doing here to edit video from my Tricaster. First of all, I wanted to know how big the files are for a typical recording. Usually with this show, which is about a half an hour, it generates about 20 gigabytes of raw video. And that doesn't count all of my mistakes and everything else like that. But you could probably bank on about 40 gigabytes for an hour, give or take, of video that you might be editing on there. But they use a codec, I think it's called Speed HQ on the Tricaster. And when I take those files off the Tricaster and drop them into Final Cut Pro, there's no transcoding to be done. Everything just works right out of the gate. I can edit off the very same files that I imported, and that makes the workflow pretty quick. Final Cut is good about letting you get started before the transcoding is done, but in this instance, there's no transcoding to be done because it can read those files directly and it's frame accurate. So that's been really helpful for the workflow here. Another thing that we're doing, which is kind of cool, is I do offline editing with Jake, who helps me here in the studio. So what I do typically when he's not here and he's working remote is I take that 20 gigabyte file, I import it into Final Cut Pro, and then I can compress those video files very quickly actually into Apple's 422 LT codec, and that is a low-res editing codec that Apple put together for this very purpose. So what it generates are proxy files, and then I can take that 20 plus gigabyte blob of video, compress it down to about 5 or 6, and I can send the project without the big files to Jake. It only takes about 20 or 30 minutes to send those files up to him, even with my slow connection here. He can edit the file, then he sends me back a typical edit blob that's about maybe half a megabyte, maybe a little bit more than a megabyte, and I can drop that right into my existing folder where my files are, and everything just is ready to go for the full res output. It's a really cool workflow. I've got a video about how I do that linked down below in the master playlist as well, because it's a really efficient way to work with remote editors with Final Cut Pro, and I think it's very, very, very helpful. It makes our life possible here on the channel.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters, the 4 Guys with Quarters podcast, Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Brian Parker, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.